Welcome to the ROPESCAST, the independent voice of the Middle East. I'm Ksenia Svetlova. ROPE stands for the Regional Organization for Peace, Economics and Security. We are a young organization that works to lay the groundwork for a post-conflict Middle East by connecting forward-thinking Israelis, Palestinians, and young Arab leaders from across the Middle East. We share a holistic vision for the Middle East where everybody has more to win from conflict resolution and integration. If you are looking for more information on ropes, please visit our website, ropes.org. And I'm extremely happy today to present our guest, a friend, Israeli Arab journalist, a leading TV host, Lucy Aharish. We will not go into the details of your very fascinating biography now, Lucy, because we will discuss it in the podcast. But I will just mention, I have to, that you were the first Arab Muslim news presenter on Israeli mainstream Hebrew language television. And you and I know very much. What does it mean exactly? Yes, this is breaking the walls of the Israeli mainstream.
Definitely.
So how are you?
I'm good, concerning everything. And if we're looking at everything that is happening here in Israel in the last almost 2.5 years. Yeah, I think that in one way or another, I said it a few days ago, that we are starting to see some kind of a closure to the unbearable war that we experienced in the last 2 years. Although we still have one kidnapped in a soldier who is kidnapped in Gaza. But yeah, it's like there's a feeling that something starting to wrap up, but it's wrapping up in a bad way, because if we're talking about the day after, we don't have any plan. And we're looking at what is happening here, and we see that there is not even one concrete plan except the Trump plan, but concrete plan to actually understand how we're going to deal the day after, especially in Israeli society, inside term, I mean.
Well, I personally feel that we are not yet at the day after phase
Mm-hmm.
for the Israeli society for sure, because the day after perhaps will come after the political elections and not necessarily even then, like how
Yeah.
do you feel about it?
I think that unfortunately there is some kind of a process that the Israeli society has been going through in the last few years. And when I mean few years, I don't mean like in the last 2 years. Um, I think that there is some kind of a process that the Israeli society is becoming more violent toward one another, and not actually only towards minorities, but like you're watching and seeing around the world, it's actually towards anyone who thinks differently than the way that you think. And I think that if I need to put my finger on one spot, is the fact that people lost the shame of being racist, of being intolerant, of not respecting. Uh, I will even say not respecting freedom of speech, because we always say, and we look at America, for example, that freedom of speech is one of the most important values in American society. But I don't think that people understand that even freedom of speech in a democracy has limits. And I think that we broke every single limit in the last few years in Israel.
Lucy, you just mentioned now the issue of racism and a small disclosure. We are recording this podcast on Wednesday, and we actually met on Sunday at your show that you lead on Channel 13, where I was a guest speaker there, guest commentator, and we discussed actually a very violent racist act against Khalil al-Rashk, the
Yes.
communal services cleaner in Jerusalem that was violently attacked by a group of Jewish teenagers. And they were specifically, this is per the police, they were looking out for an Arab victim. Does it come as a surprise to you? Because, we will touch on your, childhood experience and so on. I mean, you are no stranger, unfortunately, to revelations of racism.
It's amazing because we were together in the studio on Sunday and yesterday, and because you said that it's not foreign to me, these situations, I went yesterday and I had a lecture in front of 18, 19 years old who are just who finished school and they're in 1 year of volunteering or leadership programs or whatever. And I gave a lecture there. And I will say it, unfortunately, in the last year, I decided that I'm stopping these lectures with teenagers because the reactions that I got were too extreme for me to actually handle. Although I know racism for firsthand, and I experienced racism firsthand. But what happened yesterday is I went and said, okay, I will do it. They're a year before they're going to the army. They're doing a leadership program. It was a hall full of around 500, 450 students. And I got to a point where I spoke about freedom of speech. I spoke about the fact that there are limits, that the limit is going, that I'm not playing the game by giving people like Itamar Ben-Gvir a stage. And the minute that I started talking about Itamar Ben-Gvir and the fact that I am married to a Jewish man, four students just got up and they started yelling about the fact that I'm married to a Jewish man and that it's hitbolelut, how dare you?
Mixing blood.
Yes,
Yeah.
mixing blood. How
Mhm.
dare you do that? And one of them just got up, and the minute that I started talking about Bentzi Gopstein, who's one of, um, let's say, Itamar Ben-Gvir's assistants.
The most, one of the most, for the sake of our listeners who are not in Israel, one of the most notorious extreme right-wing fascist leader who preaches against mixing between Jews and Arabs in
Arabs.
marriages and so on. Yeah.
And he got up and he actually spit at me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I stood there and, he told me, filthy Arab, go to hell. Fuck you. And what was unfortunate for me is that out of 450 students, 500 students, there was only one student that stood up and told him, just get out. Get out. And they almost started fighting, like physically, because he told him to get out. And I stood them and I told them, I had the opportunity maybe to just exit, to say, okay, I'm not continuing with this lecture, not in a violent atmosphere. But on first hand, you say, okay, on one side, you say, okay, I can go. On the other hand, you say, okay, they won if you're going. And you need to actually stand there and speak about the fact that this is not normal, that this is not freedom of speech. And I looked at the students and I told them, you see, here you go, you have an example. This is not freedom of speech. This is violence. This is what people are doing to Jewish people abroad. The fact that they are attacking them only because they're Jews. And this is what is happening to Arabs here. And this is taking me back to when I was a teenager. And on days of terror attacks in the 90s, buses exploded here in Israel. I remember getting into school.
And you
And
were studying in the southern city of Dimona,
yes, and
which is not a mixed city. It's a
yeah,
purely
it's
Jewish
I
city.
was the only Arab Muslim student in school. And I used to get into school, and my friends, I used to hear them saying, death to Arabs, filthy Arabs. We need to kill them. We need to murder them all. And at a certain point, it started getting even worse because I started getting graffiti sentences on the wall. Lucy, filthy Arab, get out of here. We don't want Arabs in our school. So what I saw on Sunday with the Arab that was attacked in Jerusalem, only because he's Arab, it wasn't strange to me because unfortunately, it in one way or another, we normalized this behavior all over the world. We normalize people who are saying, or teenagers who are going and protesting in the streets and saying, we need to globalize the intifada, when they don't understand what the intifada is. We need to globalize jihad, when they don't understand what jihad is. And it's to become a bigot or a racist. It's some kind of a trend. It's something it's to be proud of. You're cool if you're racist.
One gruesome detail, the teenagers that assaulted the Arab worker in Jerusalem, they put everything on TikTok, didn't they?
Yeah,
They were proud of
they
it. They were
filmed it.
displaying that.
They filmed it and they put everything on TikTok. And this is also a trend on TikTok to attack bus drivers, usually, like in most cases, when they're Arabs, and to put it on TikTok and to be proud of it. And you see the comments and you say, okay, people might tell him or tell them that this is not okay. And no, you see comments, good for you. It's good that you filthy Arabs. Yeah, this is the way that we need to treat them. And this kills me because this country was built after the Holocaust that the Jewish people went through. The Holocaust that murdered and slaughtered 6 million Jews all over Europe. And Israel was built on the ashes of the people and the families that went through the Holocaust. Israel was supposed to be a safe haven for Jewish people. But it's not only a safe haven. Israel was supposed to be the place where Jews are building a different society, a society that comes from the fact that they know how it feels to be a minority. They know how it feels to be persecuted. They know how it feels to be judged only because you're Jewish. And the fact that in the last few years, we see that extreme right ideology and even extreme left ideologies are becoming some kind of something to be proud of, are becoming some kind of a norm, a new moral. You say to yourself, something is very rotten. Something is very rotten in Israeli society. Something is very rotten in international society, especially in the young generation. Because I remember that when these graffitis were written about me in school, I remember that my principal, the principal of the school, he was Meir Cohen. Meir Cohen is an MK from Yesh Atid party. He was the welfare minister. And I remember that Meir used to go and actually, erase these graffitis. And right after he erased these graffitis, he gathered the entire class and he told them, I will not allow these things to happen in my school. And the minute that I will know who's the person who's doing these things, he will find himself out of the school. These were the reactions to racism back then. These were the actions that people took when they saw or heard racist people. We are not accepting that. Look at the period of time where Kahana was in the Knesset. When the Likud party used to get out the minute that he was going on the stage in the Knesset, they went out of the hall because they said, we are not normalizing this fascist ideas, these extreme ideas. And now these extreme ideas, these racist ideas, these fascist ideas are in the Israeli mainstream society.
You know, Lucy, I'm listening to you. First of all, I'm almost crying again because I'm listening for your story, for the second time. And it just makes me think of a young girl who just standing there alone in front of the classmates who see all of this graffiti and do nothing. And yes, thanks God for Mayor Cohens of the world who do something. But I can just tell you that, personally, I was also a subject to racism and xenophobia and, different times of my life. But most than anything, it was in the Knesset. When I was in the Knesset, I never, never was exposed to that much hate. But some people will become stronger, like you. Some can break down from that,
Definitely.
something that, I don't know how we can even recover. This is in the personal. But the second thought is that, I want to get you back to the horrific days of the 10/7, and actually the 10/7 itself, when, you lead this heroic action of, basically coordinating information and giving it what to your husband and his friends who were
Mhm.
there in the battlefield in order to save people. And a few days after, there was this feeling that we are all in trauma, we are all in this together. The togetherness perhaps can salvage us, not only from
Mhm.
this horrific ordeal, but there is perhaps chance for something new, for something more. And it was also in regards to the Jewish-Arab relations, by the way, because we saw
Mhm.
how many Arabs, Israeli citizens, and Palestinians were murdered by Hamas. They did not
Yep.
differentiate. They didn't make any excuse. Oh, you're Arab, so you can go. No, they butchered Arabs just as they did the Jews, just because of their affiliation with Israeli.
Mhm.
Lucy, how did we miss this moment to make things right? What should be happening? And 2 years later, what can be done in order to change the course?
We missed this opportunity because somebody made us miss this opportunity. Because hate works the best for leaders who wants to stay on their seat, who wants to stay in their seats. So at the first few days, actually, some of the ministers in this government, the extremist government ever, was governing Israel. Some of the ministers even said, "We won't have even 2 weeks after what happened on October 7th." And they were right with what they felt. But I think that we were so traumatized that we thought that something like that may bring us or will bring us to point zero where we can start all over again. But it didn't, because in an era where truth doesn't matter, where you can, there's no truth, there is a subjective truth. It's like, this is the way that I see it. And if I see it, this is the truth for me. Not that this is actually the truth. Today, people can actually argue about if this color is gray or not. If this is a light gray, maybe it's a different gray, maybe it's black, and you're watching it in a blurry way. And I think that we didn't realize that our leaders and our politicians will be so cynical to this atrocity that happened to us, to this massacre that happened to us, and will use it for their own benefits. I didn't think I think that the few days after, I said to myself, okay, my prime minister will look at the people, at the eyes of the people of Israel, and he will tell, this is on me. I'm taking the responsibility because I'm your prime minister and this has happened under my watch. I was sure that, we can say a lot of things about Benjamin Netanyahu, that he is clearly the best politician in Israel. And I'm saying politician in Israel. But, there is, common ground that you say to yourself, there's a certain point where you say, okay, just let's put things aside. Something bigger than me happened. But no, even the massacre of October 7th wasn't big enough to cynical politicians who think that they are bigger than the state, that they are bigger than the people, that they are better than the people. And I didn't. I look at the Palestinians. It's not that they have any leadership. It's not that their leaders are actually looking at them. It's not that when Yahya Sinwar committed this massacre and decided to go to give the go to this war, he didn't think that this is going to be the reaction. He knew that this is going to be the reaction. He knew that when you're committing crimes and terror attacks in this magnitude, you know that the reaction is going to be fatal. You know that. And Yahya Sinwar knew us better than everyone. He knew the Israeli society. He studied the Israeli society. And the fact that you see that Yahya Sinwar went to this war, went into this war knowing what is going to happen to the Palestinians, shows that even with the Palestinians, they don't have any leadership. Now, you're not expecting a terror organization to actually be some kind of a leadership. Yeah, it's because it doesn't
take care of the people.
Yeah, or take care of the people, exactly. Because a terror organization is not a leadership. It's a terror organization who is managing the Gaza Strip. It's a terror organization. I will say it 1 million times. It's not a leadership. It's not an entity. It's not a government. It's a terror organization. And the fact that Yahya Sinwar managed in the international community to make Hamas a resistant movement after this kind of massacre, this is something that is unbearable. The fact that people today praise Marwan Barghouti when they don't know who is Marwan. They're talking about him like Mahatma Gandhi or something. And you say to yourself, no, he's a terrorist. He committed and planned the biggest terror attacks in the history of Israel. And people are actually praising him.
Barghouti?
Barghouti. They're praising him. You say to yourself, okay, what does it say about us? About the way that we are watching, or we have some aspirations about our leaders. Because we used to have leaders like Menachem Begin, like Anwar Sadat, that didn't take popular decisions. They took a leadership decision. When Anwar Sadat said to Menachem Begin, no more wars. He picked up the phone and he said, I'm coming to give a speech in your Knesset. There was zero trust between Egypt and Israel. Zero. It was these two countries had so lack of trust that the Israeli intelligence, and you know that, were sure that the minute that Anwar Sadat will land in Israel, military will come out of the plane and will finish the entire Israeli government that was standing waiting for Anwar Sadat. And it didn't happen. Why? Because we are talking about two leaders who had respect, who had a vision, who understood the responsibility to be a head of government or a head of state.
So, Lucy, you're leading me to my next question, about leadership, because it seems that, and again, you mentioned the Palestinian side, and also, so they have the part of Palestinian Authority that is led still by Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
Also 2 years later, and this is due to the lack of the any kind of
Plan.
preparations plan, yes,
Mm-hmm.
for the day after. And there is another part that is led by elderly President Mahmoud Abbas, who is 90 years old. And obviously does not enjoy much popularity, but also
Popularity.
doesn't have much power. Tell you
Mm-hmm.
frankly, he's powerless by the decision of the Israeli prime minister. And
Mm-hmm.
then there is Israel, where you have Netanyahu, who is the best campaigner indeed, and you have a lot of wannabes. Some of them already have been prime ministers and so on. But do you see leaders among them? So it seems that the next stage would be about defining of leadership for both parties, us and the Palestinians. And perhaps only after that we will be able to really talk about the day after.
I will tell you that unfortunately, I see only some kind of a copycat or somebody who's pretending or people who are pretending to be Benjamin Netanyahu. They're not trying to be themselves. The opposition leaders in Israel are not actually have like a solid, ground uh, morals that they will tell you, okay, I'm going to do it my way. Because everything they're doing Benjamin Netanyahu's way. They're always thinking
Mhm.
about what would Benjamin Netanyahu do,
He
and
dictates
maybe
the agenda still by everything.
exactly. And unfortunately, when you hear opposition leaders in Israel after October 7th, and I know the lack of trust that there is between Jews and Arabs after October 7th, but if we will take it back to inside the Israeli society, when you hear opposition leaders are not able to say that they will sit down with Arabs inside, with Arab parties inside their coalition. You know what? They don't want to sit with Arab coalition, with Arab parties. No problem, but they are not even willing to do a campaign on the Israeli Arab Society. The Israeli Arab Society in the last few elections that we had, and we had plenty, it went out and voted in around 40 to 50%, which means that around 50% has no political home. They're looking, or they gave up on their option to actually change something or to take part in changing something in Israeli society, or they're saying nobody from the Arab parties is actually promoting my aspirations, looking at me and actually watching or understanding what it means to be an Israeli Arab or Palestinian Israeli in Israel. And to see the opposition leaders are not even thinking to do a campaign on these 40, 50% of society that lives here. Like we are 2 million Arabs living in Israel, 2 million citizens of the state of Israel. We have a passport, we have an ID, we're paying taxes. We have equal rights, but I always say we don't have equal opportunities.
Mhm.
Like any minority around the world, if you will ask African Americans in the United States, they will tell you we have equal rights, but we don't have equal opportunities. And the fact that our opposition leaders are not actually standing up and saying, okay, yeah, they're part of my people, they're part of the people of Israel, and we need to listen to them. We need to speak to them. Because the only actually leader that spoke to Arabs and campaigned on the Arab society is Benjamin Netanyahu.
Abu
With
Yair, the Abu
Abu
Yair
Yair,
campaign. Yeah,
Abu Yair campaign. This is the campaign when he gave the kosher stamp to Mansour Abbas.
yeah. Well,
And when
we both know very well that if it would be Netanyahu now, that would need the air votes. And you know what?
he
Let's
will
wait and see.
campaign
There
like
is still
that.
1 year. If he will still need them, he might also
Of course.
change his opinion.
And after Netanyahu will start campaigning on the Arab society,
Mhm.
you will see the opposition
Mhm.
leaders starting to do that also. Because they are not initiating nothing, anything. They're following Benjamin Netanyahu. They're not initiating something that says, okay, that smells leadership. And if we are talking about a leadership, I think that there is one person that I never voted for. We're coming from different agendas, but Mansour Abbas, the head of Ram Party, he is a leader. He's a brave leader because he said, I am playing in the political field, in the political arena.
Mhm.
I want to affect the lives of 2 million Arabs living here. And I cannot continue sitting in the opposition benches and scream from there and not change the daily lives of Israeli Arabs who live here, who are suffering from violence on the streets each and every day, actual inside violence in the Arab society, murdering and killing and criminal actions. And so he said, okay, I'm not willing to sit
It
down
was a pivotal
anymore.
moment. It was
Yeah,
a pivotal moment.
I'm not willing to sit down anymore in the opposition chair because I want to take part in the decision making in Israel. And he came and he said some historic statements towards the state of Israel. To hear someone who's coming from the Islamist movement and the northern branch
Mhm.
and saying,
But he's from the southern branch, I think.
yeah, I think
Specifically,
that he
he's from
started,
the
but
southern.
and then he became,
Yes.
because the southern branch, if I'm not mistaken, was it got
The
out of the law.
no, the northern branch, the northern branch, they
The northern
forbid
branch
it.
or the
Yes, it's Raed Salah, and he was affiliated with Abdallah Nimr Darwish from the
yes,
southern
yes,
branch.
right, you're
Yes,
right.
yes.
So
But
he
the racists will not differentiate.
they won't differentiate because they don't understand, because they don't know.
Do you,
And what
it's very important. I want to ask you a question specifically about that, Lucy, because Abbas said lately that, if he
he's
needs
going to
to cut
disconnect.
ties from the Muslim Brotherhood officially, he said, we already didn't have, so much ties, but I'm ready to cut any kind of ties with the Shura Council, whatever. And you know what? It seems that he just cannot, get it right in the eyes of many Israelis who would tell him, this is Takia. You want to, lie to us, you want to deceive us. And if he would say, I would not denounce it, then you see, you're a Muslim Brotherhood. So in any
He
case, you cannot win.
he cannot even win with his ex-partners. I was happy to hear after him giving the statement, Yair Lapid, Benny Gantz, Avigdor Lieberman, Naftali Bennett saying, you reached us, we are reaching out to you. Because you were part of the decision making, you sat in our coalition. And yet you are not hearing them saying it loud and clear. Because
Oh,
they're afraid. They
you
are
know what?
afraid and they are not leaders. So if I will go back to your question about if we have leaders, I don't think that we will have leaders in this at least round of election. But I think it will take the war itself built and from the war came out few social leaders that in the future, after this round of election, will rebuild the Israeli politics all over again. It will take us time. I don't think that it will change in 1 year. Because again, people with their egos and they think that they know best. We're still, a lot of people talked about conception after October 7th. And I think that there are still, the leaders in Israel still are so deep in a shitty conception that they are not studying and learning anything from what is happening. And I think that in a few years, we will see and we will watch a young generation going to politics, going to change, because we didn't even start to build something or to be rebuilt after October 7th. And it will take us time.
Lucy, I'm listening to you and agree with so many points about, this grim picture that we experience right now. So I'm trying to, find rays of lights to still to keep hopeful. For example, I saw that there was the online campaign, Head Start campaign for the Arab worker that was beaten, and 250,000 shekels were collected in over 24 hours or something like this. This gives me hope. I'm looking at the Arab countries around us, and I see the curricula changing, and I see the expressions also that are coming from the leaders. They're different than what I heard as a young scholar of the Middle East 20 years ago. That's me. What gives you hope today? Because you're raising a son, you're a mother, you're an Israeli citizen, you're a woman, you're Arab Israeli, you are Arab Muslim, with all of these identities, that is very complex picture. What gives you, something to, the ray of light for you?
I think that my life proved that there was always when I thought that we are reaching or there's something really bad happening, somebody came and just showed me that it's not going to be bad, that it's not going to end up bad. If it's what happened in school with Meir Cohen, if it's when I was 10 years old and the Kahana, people who supported Kahana, sended letters to our house threatening us to get out of Dimona, because if we won't get out of Dimona, they will make us get out of Dimona. And our neighbor, his name was Menachem Baleli. I always say that I never knew my grandparents, my grandfathers, because they died before I was born. But I did had a grandfather, and my grandfather, his name was Menachem. He was our neighbor next door. And Menachem never missed any of my birthdays in the kindergarten. And Menachem knew exactly which candy I love in order to shut my mouth when I'm doing some problems or whatever. And Menachem was my grandfather. And I remember when we used to get these letters, when my mom used to get these letters to our house, she used to go to Menachem, who was like a father to her. And I remember that he used to take these letters and rip them in front of her eyes and tell her, he was a Holocaust survivor. And he had a number on his hand. And he told her, I remember always, I did not survive and went through everything that I went through and lost almost all of my family in the Holocaust, so that I will be here and somebody will dare to do something to you in this country. So there are always hope. There's always someone who will come and show you that these dark people, these evil people, there's somebody on the other side that has a bigger light than them. It's like the student that stood up yesterday when another student spit on me. And he stood up and he told him, get the hell out of here. One student out of 500 students, he told him, get out. So yes, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I don't think that evil controls us. Evil doesn't differentiate between this blood or this other blood, Muslim, Christian, or Jewish blood. Evil doesn't differentiate between these kind of bloods. And when the light comes, it comes on all of us. And I believe in the goodness of human beings. And I think that, yes, we are in a very complicated era where we are not willing to have a complicated discourse in our society, a discourse that will challenge us, that will make us think. But I think that even what we are doing here, me and you, is trying to challenge people to think, to open their eyes. And I think that this is my mission, to always challenge my son, to always challenge him, think differently. I'm sending him to a mixed school when one of his teachers is a Jewish, French a woman who made Aliyah, and the other teacher is a Christian Arab from originally from Jordan, Ramallah, Bethlehem. And she's originally from Jordan, but they came to Bethlehem, and then she got married to someone from Israel. And the other teacher is a Muslim teacher. So for him, it's not different to see all the colors, all the people. And I think that this is the society that we want to live in, a society that sees everyone. Of course, after wars and crisis and challenges that we're going through, each and every nation is trying to close itself and try to find, okay, if I'm Jewish and you're Jewish, so we need to agree on things, but we need to, back up one another. But it's like that people are asking me, okay, you're Palestinian, how you cannot understand Palestinians, or you are Arab Muslim, how you cannot understand Muslims? No, the fact that I see a Muslim or a Palestinian doing something wrong, I won't justify it just because I am also a Muslim or I'm also Palestinian. It doesn't work like that.
Do you consider yourself Palestinian?
No, I consider myself more Israeli. I see myself a total Israeli because I was raised in the most Israeli society that there can be. It's like to be raised in Dimona, which is a semi-secular city in the south of Israel that has 30,000 people, at least back then, that lived in it. Not a lot of people. Um, for me, I lived the Israeli culture, the Israeli society. Of course, I also was taught and raised on Muslim holidays and Muslim culture and Arab culture, of course. But I also was raised about the Israeli morals and society and history and narrative. And it is part of my narrative also.
And you lit a
Because
torch on the Independence Day. What could be more Israeli than that?
definitely, and for me to light the torch on Israeli Independence Day and to be able to speak in Arabic and Hebrew on Mount Herzl, it's a proof that anyone who tries to take my Israelishness out of me, he cannot do that. I don't deny me being Israeli. I am proud of me being Israeli, of being Israeli with this complex identity that I have. But who said that life is easy and life is complicated? And you know it better, to come as a Jewish woman, a Russian Jewish woman in the 90s. I think that you felt the same way when you came to Israel, when Israelis, found it very hard to accept these Russians coming out
And
of
until this day,
Israel.
Lucy, until this day,
Yes,
so the most common comment to me while I was in the Knesset, and it didn't matter, whether I was writing about consumer rights or about politics, it was, are you Jewish? I'm very sure that you're not Jewish. That we're not waiting for an answer or something
because
like
you're
this.
questionable.
Yeah, of
You're
course. It's,
questionable. Your Judaism is questionable because
yeah,
you're Russian.
yeah. It's,
And I think that you can identify as a Jewish woman who lived in the diaspora and came to Israel and made Aliyah. You can identify more with every single thing that I'm talking and speaking right now than
absolutely.
Any Israeli who lived here his entire life.
Yeah, and they never experienced anti-Semitism, unfortunately, like my family did, and they never got. You get letters, Lucy. We got letters 1 year before we left that were suggesting that we should leave immediately to Israel, and
Yeah.
if not, there were very direct threats. Many Jewish families received these letters at the time, and yeah. So, by the way, Lucy, that I never told you the story, but I almost came up to live in Dimona myself.
Really?
Yeah, because we didn't know much about different places in Israel, but my mom did what she could. She found that in Jerusalem there is the Hebrew University, and it
Hmm.
was the best university. That some people told her that it was the best university. So when we were asked in the Ben Gurion, so where do you want to go? So she told them Jerusalem, and they told her, well, do you have any family there or friends? And she said, no, we just need to go to Jerusalem because there is Hebrew University there. And they thought that she
Smart
went
woman.
mad, and they told her, listen, we have another offer for you. It's a very nice city, a lot of Russian speakers there, beautiful
It
city,
is.
Dimona. And she's like, I remember it very vividly. She's like, I don't know Dimona, but we need to go to Jerusalem because my daughter has to study in Hebrew. It was like very, this something that she was holding on, like, why?
Tanya, you won't be surprised that most of my friends in high school, in school in the 90s, were Russians
I can
because
imagine.
we had
Yeah.
a common ground. We had like this, you know, uh, common ground of people who identify with one another, who are being treated in a different way.
Treated and
And
also torn
yeah,
perhaps a little bit inside. You don't
yep.
feel that you fully belong. And sometimes I think that this foreignness, it will always stay. Although, I live here for 34 years. I have, 3 kids. And of course, I don't have any other land. I don't have any other country. But there is still some element that you will know that you will be always different in some way. For
It's
better or for
amazing that
worse.
it's amazing that you're saying about I don't have any other land because me either. It's like I see Israelis today, a lot of Israelis today, looking for their different passport, looking for origins in Spain and Portugal and whatever, and looking to have a foreign passport. When me, the Israeli Arab, who the state of Israel gave an ID and a passport in 1948 by the decision of the Israeli government, me also doesn't have a different land. It's like I do, even if I will start looking in my origins, where, if, how, I won't find any other, like, something that will prove that I don't belong here. And when I saw like a few days ago the line for the Portuguese
Oh
embassy
my God,
of
yes.
Israelis waiting to give like forms to look for their Portuguese origins, I said to myself, really? And Israelis are actually telling me that I have 22 countries to go to? And when they are looking for 22 countries to actually escape Israel from?
I saw a meme online about the transfer plan of Trump finally worked,
Hmm.
but not in the right
Yes.
direction. But Lucy, I think that it's also very something that's very kind of I don't know if it's only Jewish oriented, but there is this sense that one day you would have to run. And if you will have to run, you better have, something, to help you on the way. I think that this is coming from this very deep anxieties that are just
Yes.
rooted in,
Definitely.
in
Definitely.
everybody's past.
But
Yes,
I
yes,
don't have this
yes.
privilege. You
Yep.
understand? It's like I don't have this privilege. It's like I'm stuck with the Israeli passport. It's
Okay,
like
Dubai or something, no?
I'm stuck
No.
with the Israeli passport. It's like when you will be able to have any other identity or whatever, I'm stuck here. It's like
Lucy, I think that we will remain, stuck here with each other, which makes me very happy. I want to
me
be
too.
stuck with you, if it's here or, any other place. I genuinely hope that, when we will record our next podcast, we will have more optimistic subjects to talk about. We can talk also about
Definitely.
some progress,
We
not
are
only hope.
hopeful.
Yeah,
We are hopeful.
we're hopeful,
Definitely.
and I think that that we, in a way, we're also bringing hope by just being, who you are and doing
Thank you.
what we need to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Ksenia. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very, very
much.
much for this conversation. You've been listening to the ROPESCAST, the independent voice of the Middle East. Our guest today was very special, Lucy Aharish, Israeli Arab journalist and a TV host. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and you can find so much more content on our webpage, ropes.org. Shalom and salam, and I will see you next time.